everybody. Welcome to the second ASM Roundtable here today. Next topic is manufacturing in Mexico, and we've got a really good panel to discuss this. It's a really interesting topic to have on the ASM booth. DEC have been market leader in Mexico for some time and have enjoyed a great deal of success in that market. And C-Place became number one supplier of placement machines in Mexico recently as well. So as a team, really enjoying some success there. The market seems to be booming, lots of people talking about what's going on down there. So we really want to explore why that is, what's going on, what the opportunities are there, and what companies like ASM can do to support that growth. I'd like to bring guests up one by one. First of all, Juan from Riverwood Solutions. Come up, Juan. Juan takes care of Riverwood's Mexico operation out of Guadalajara. Riverwood Solutions sit between EMS companies and OEMs and help them manage the supply chain. So Juan is in that uniquely nice position of being able to visit a lot of factories. Rodrigo is from Inventec. Rodrigo, come up. Rodrigo takes care of the region for Inventec, who are a chemical material supplier. Again, a lot of insight into what's going on there, what the demands are. And our last but not least important guest, Marin, come up and join us. Marin takes care of Mexico for ASM, so has a very important role in this conversation. I really want to start by exploring why Mexico is enjoying so much success at the moment. It's been one of those regions that's bubbled under for a while, and lots of people have talked about it challenging China as a manufacturing base in terms of cost and various different things. But now it seems to be really enjoying its heyday. Lots of investment, lots going on. If I can start with you, Juan, what are you seeing as the drivers in Mexico at the moment?
Well, hello everyone. It's a matter of what we call right shoring. Instead of reshoring, it's right shoring. It's a matter of cost, and it is related to the inventory-related cost that we call, that takes in consideration the total landed cost of a product being built in China versus Mexico. So you need to consider all the factors, not only the material and the cost of the good itself. So when you add everything up, and with the increasing inflation in China, so we're now almost equal to China when you consider everything. So for us, it's all about right shoring. That's the right answer right now.
Okay, and one of the things that we compare, obviously we compare labor rates with China, but you've also got to have the supply chain, the infrastructure, the labor to support that. That's pretty strong in Mexico.
Yeah, I mean the labor to labor, we're still a little bit up China, but when you add everything, the infrastructure and the logistics and the time zone and the language and cultural barriers, everything adds up to a better solution right now for certain products, of course, in Mexico.
Yeah. Rodrigo, what are you seeing in Mexico at the moment in terms of growth and opportunity?
Well, first, my first comment is that it's not a success or a situation that has born from one day to another. It's a situation that has been taken for 40 years already of cooperation, the evolution of the electronics market in Mexico. As Juan mentioned, there's hard facts like infrastructure already settled, currency exchange that are favoring Mexico. But there's also a lot of talent and universities that are creating engineers and putting them into the market, and that helps to bring added value to the assembly. So it's not only the human labor factor, but also the creation and design. And us as a materials supplier, we see there's more and more decision making done in Mexico today. So not everything comes from AVL from Europe or the US or Canada. Now decision making is happening in Mexico, so that's also a key factor.
Yeah, so it's becoming an autonomous industry rather than being decisions being made perhaps in Silicon Valley. Marin, from your point of view, what are you seeing when you're out seeing customers in Mexico at the moment?
With the labor increase in China, I mean, give us a very good opportunity in Mexico in this point. In general, we can see every day more and more projects came from China to Mexico. That is very good for us. The labor here, it's very good. I mean, the people we have a good talent in general and so forth. The problem that the customer, like the American people, the European people, travel a lot hours to be with China, language, supply chain. All these issues help us a lot to be here with one of the biggest market worldwide.
Yeah. So time zones helping you. The distance from the consumer market of North America is helping hugely. How far do we think that can go? Do we think that as Mexico becomes more autonomous, do we see it moving up the value chain in terms of design, perhaps in terms of manufacturing more complex products? What are you seeing in terms of the way these manufacturers operate, Juan?
Well, it's still evolving. We are getting more and more traction on industries such as aerospace, and of course automotive is very big in Mexico, but aerospace is developing, so there is a huge way to still to walk for the Mexican industry. So for me, we don't see an end. It's like, I don't want to say unlimited, but it's certain a lot to walk still. The supply chain has been evolved in Mexico into a system integration instead of only manufacturing. So the people, the skills of the people, it's been evolving over the past 7 years. So now we are working projects out of Mexico of build to order and configure to order. So we are actually distributing directly to the final customers in the US, and that is on telecommunications and some consumer products. So I believe that situation will evolve also to aerospace and maybe defense. I don't know defense. Defense a little bit hard because of security issues, but it's moving towards that direction.
Yeah, you're certainly seeing a trend there. And when you guys are involved in that, what can you do to support that growth, that challenge as it moves further up the value chain as we get more development? What can you do as a material supplier to be involved in the development of the industry?
Well, I believe one best practice we can do is to bring the success that has happened in other regions of the world, so we don't reinvent the wheel. For instance, in terms of environmental regulations, we have the good experience from Europe, sometimes from the US, certain states, or from Japan. So we can replicate those success stories and be more focused and more practical with the solutions, either for cleaning process, coating materials, you name it. The engineers in Mexico have a way to add value to those trends. And as Juan mentioned, for instance, in automotive, in North America, you have different regulations and different safety policies that you need to respect. And I think the Mexican engineering staff brings a lot of added value to that.
Added value there.
Sorry.
Okay, and Marin, from your point of view, as representing two of the market leaders in the region, you have to have people on the ground, I guess. You have to have people that can provide solutions to the Mexican manufacturers. What does your footprint look like there, and how different is the offering you provide there to perhaps elsewhere in the world?
In my minor limited, in Mexico, I mean, in the past year, the knowledge of the people who manage processes, factories, is given grow and grow.
Yeah.
We have more experience in different ways. As in the past, the factory was running 90% with the North American guys living in Mexico. Now, it's vice versa. I mean, it's 90% of the, I would say, factories is managed for Mexican people. And this gives us a lot of exposure to be in the right way. I mean, it's the companies in Mexico invest more and more in training, who give us a very good chance to be number one shortly. And I think we're doing the right things.
Yeah, it sounds like it. So to wrap up, how far do we think Mexico can go, and what do we think are the risks to that? I mean, in the past, maybe 5 to 10 years ago, we heard a lot about security, a lot about the political situation. The current political situation seems to be stable, but political situations change. What are the risks as you see them, Juan?
Well, major reforms have been established now: labor, energetic, financial. So I think we're still a country very dependent on oil. petroleum. So right now, you know that the oil drop has been impacted the finances of Mexico. But adjustments are being done as we speak, cuts on the budgets of the government. So we're learning. I think our major risk is associated with the macroeconomic factors that, I mean, we can't get away from that, like even devaluation right now. We experience maybe a 20 to 25% devaluation, the peso versus the dollar, which helps the exporting industry. However, internally it creates some type of fear from the 80s, 70s and 80s in Mexico that we had double-digit devaluations. So I think our main risks are associated to external factors. Right now, everything is in place. The country itself is starting to get it. They're starting to get online, to get aligned to the tax reform. So everyone is being formalized into their economies. So we're still a third world country developing, and we're getting there. But we're still very exposed to external factors.
Yeah, there's still a ways to go. From your point of view, Rodrigo?
Well, these external factors drive all the Mexicans to keep on being very innovative. I mean, that's one of the characteristics of our country, finding different solutions. So today there are external threats, risks, violence in certain regions, certain logistics that are quite complex. So you must develop further strategies, further partnerships with regional companies that can guarantee technical support or spare parts, etc. So you have to go beyond those threats and try to make some put your strengths to solve those threats. But also how far we can go. I'll take Apex as an example. More and more you see Mexican engineers speaking at the conferences, showing their design experiments, their results, their technology and all that. So that tells you that there's something going on in the Mexican factories. And also the education part is also improving, and that's part of the foundation to make things boosting even more and with a solid pace.
Yeah, I think. Absolutely. The skills seem to be really developing there, and the education system supported that. What about from your point of view, Marin? What do you think are the risks and perhaps the key opportunities for Mexico as a manufacturing region?
In the security standpoint, I will say we have some red points in Mexico, mainly in the northeast of Mexico, as we know. But even with that, I mean, we're still growing a lot. That's for me, that's a very good message for the market worldwide. We're doing the right things. We have a lot of things to do it in the future, a lot of questions. But I think, again, as I mentioned before, the people is growing with more experience in the different areas, that putting Mexico in a very good position worldwide. The challenge we have, we need to keep working in that direction, more proactive. And the really risk that I can see in front of me is a big perception in the biggest market worldwide. Yeah. That's the only risk that I can see.
Yeah. Yeah, a lot of it is about perception, and you're absolutely right there. So it seems to me that some of the key elements that Mexico is bringing together is obviously the labor rates have been hugely advantageous, but there just seems to be a structure in place to get the skills through, to develop those skills, for the people to develop, and as you say, Rodrigo, that kind of ingenuity to be able to work in some of these difficult situations and come up with solutions and actually make things work and make things successful. Guys, thanks very much for your time. I wish you all continued success in the Mexican market, but also in the global market. Thanks very much for participating today. All great insights. And thank you very much, everybody, for joining us. Thank you.